mind, body, spirit. What are some of the habits that you have each and every week?
I'll tell you, that's hard. That's one of the most difficult things. Is it's easy to give advice and tell other people what to do, how to do things, your opinion on things.
Yep.
But then it's how do you get that back?
Yeah.
So first and foremost is surround yourself with good people.
It all speak for itself. Grinding in silence, ain't nothing to tell. When we step on the court, we gon' bring it to light. And we stop and pop like we caught of the light. Stop asking what's wrong with me. You already know there's a dog in me. And there's no stopping my focus, man. Make sure all my people gon' ball with me. Yeah, I came to compete, I'm a dog with it. Yeah, I came to compete with my paws in it.
What's up, CTA family? Welcome to another episode of the Compete Mentality Podcast. The Compete Mentality Podcast exists to motivate, educate, and inspire you guys to compete. And you guys better stop what you're doing right now. Get the journal out. We're going to take some notes. If you're working out, get ready to do another rep or two because you're going to get fired up because of the guests that we have on today. If you're here for the first time, welcome. I'm so thankful that you're here. If you're a faithful listener to the podcast, welcome, welcome, welcome your family to me. And I can't wait to dive in here today. I want to introduce a very special guest. This guy is a brother to me. There's just soul connections here that you have on this planet with people. And Nate McNeely is one of those for me. Nate and I go way back as young assistant coaches at the college level at Judson University. Now Nate is doing mighty great things. He married my wife's best friend growing up. He just has an unbelievable journey, and I can't wait to pull that story out of him today. So, Nate, thanks for joining us here on the podcast today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Everything you just said, I can't agree with more. I truly believe I wouldn't be where I'm at. Well, literally, location-wise, definitely would not be where I'm at today without Jordan and Courtney. And to be able to be on the show that is the Compete Mentality Podcast, I've seen Jordan live that out since I've known him. Inspired me in that. And so to be able to be on here, even being there when God put it on your heart that, hey, compete is the word that you need to push forward. That's your direction. Even to be there that time when we were coaching, like to see where you're at now, such an inspiration.
Yes.
So I'm happy to be on here.
Dude, that was, that's, I appreciate that so much, man. I appreciate your kind words. But yes, that takes me back to the genesis of the word compete. Was when you and I were doing life together on the daily as assistant coaches for Judson University, 2012, 13-ish, that word transformed my life. So you've been from the very beginning of the word compete to now, you've been a part of that whole journey and seen that. So that's special. Nate, I want to start out a little lighter here. We love to compete on the court, off the court. Mindset training, take care of the mind, body, spirit, all that good stuff. We love feeding our body with good food that the sun touches and a gallon of water a day and all that good stuff. But we also have our 1 to 2 cheat meals a week or month or whatever it is for you. I want to just set that standard out there for you to answer this question of if you're going on a date with Tori, your better half, where are you going? What are you ordering?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'll tell you the first thing that comes to mind. Every year we go to Florida for spring break, and there's a place right down the road that we can walk to. So we actually take dates to here. It's called Old Hickory. Okay. Unfortunately, it no longer, when the hurricane came through, it's no longer in existence. So we're very sad about that. But it was a place, Old Hickory. It was on the water, and the Bang Bang shrimp. We would go, and that's all we would order.
Yeah.
And we would just sit there for the afternoon, spend some time together.
So good.
But if we're talking more locally, we really like going to Imagine Burger and Converse, we think is good. And then Half Moon in Kokomo. That's a nice place to go to. So,
listeners, tap in. Tap into Imagine, Half Moon. Yes, there's nothing like good seafood on the coast. Like, for goodness sakes. Nothing like it. Nate, I want to dive right into, tell us about you, your family, what's going on in your life, and what you're called to right now.
Yeah, so Right now, I'm the director of I about said director of
Yeah,
I'm the director of the Career Center. So Grant Regional Career Center here in Grant County, serving all the students from Grant County in career and technical education. I almost said director of admissions because that's where I came from.
Yep.
When we were at Judson,
Yeah,
I was the director of admissions, also coached basketball.
Yep.
So what I saw and how I ended up, in the role I am now is students weren't ready. They didn't know what they wanted to do. And it was my job to get them to that university.
Yeah.
So I was starting to have some trouble because it was, my job is to get you to Judson, which is a great place, offers a great education. But if you're not ready and know what you want to do, then you need to figure that out first. And so now I'm at the high school level to be able to do that.
Right.
I'm also the associate head coach for the Marion Giants.
Yep.
So I coach with James Blackman. So that's a huge opportunity to connect and coach students up, players up.
Yep.
But
the Marion Giants.
The Marion Giants. And so more than that.
Historic program for all you guys listening. Most state championships. We got listeners all over the state, all over the country, in different countries of the world listening to this. It is an unbelievable basketball program.
And I get to coach with a Hall of Fame coach, James Blackman, Hall of Fame coach and player in James Blackman. So it's a tremendous opportunity and experience for me.
Nate, tell us about your family.
Yeah, so my wife, Tori, stays at home with our two boys, and, man, she is just amazing day in and day out to be able to work with our boys. So one is 4 and one is 8 months.
Yep.
So to provide for them day in and day out, gosh, I mean, you always kind of know stay-at-home moms have a tough job.
Yeah.
But when you experience it, I'll tell you what, when I stay at home with the boys and she gets a day of break, which isn't very often, when she gets that day off, oh, do I have such an appreciation
Real
for
MVP.
What she does and she does it at a high level, and then still treats me well when I get home. Still has dinner ready or has a plan or whatever it is. So to be able to do all that, unbelievable.
Nate, I want to dive into, you just talked about how you've been in coaching, you've been in admissions, you're now at the Career Center here at Marion. The two words that when I think of you, are connector and coach. Nate is a part of my program, Dream Season X. That is a high level group of individuals, 8 to 10 individuals that are coming together for 12 months to grow their mind, body, spirit, and realize their purpose at a deeper level and maximize their potential, fine-tuning their dream. And when we all talk in this program, I'm talking with this group about their superpower, their passion, their unique ability, their unique design. The scriptures talk about that we are fearfully, wonderfully created in God's image. Nate has a superpower to connect people and coach people. And I've seen that since I've known him since 2013, and he's done that at a very high level. When did you know that was like your superpower? Like, was there like an aha moment?
I would say, so really it started from when I grew up, but really hit me in high school. So I changed high schools about halfway through. So I had always had the background of experience of different race, socioeconomic backgrounds, gender differences, age differences.
Yep.
Like I found that I could have good conversation, and I enjoyed getting to know everyone's story along that way. And so I was blessed with the experiences growing up. My parents helped provide those experiences where I was around different types of people.
Yep.
And so then when I moved from Bushnell, Illinois to Monmouth, Illinois, my parents owned a business there. When we made that shift in high school and I was meeting new people there, I had a couple people ask me, or they kind of made the comment, it's odd to me that you connect with this group over here, because I played basketball.
Yep.
It was something that I connected with, but I was also connected with the people that were on the debate team. Yeah. And the people that were, I'm trying to think of polar opposites of,
non-athletic real people.
Yeah. I was, I like that. I was the connector for all of that, and I enjoyed that. I felt like that was something that was easy for me. I enjoyed the relationships that were built. So if I had to pick a moment that I realized that was it right there.
Yeah, I love hearing that story about how that's kind of how you realized your natural ability, your unique design, your superpower Nate McNeely, when I think of you, you're everyone's best friend. Everyone loves Nate McNeely. He's the most connected guy in town. And that's just kind of who you are. You don't have to try hard to be that. We like to say all the time in mindset training, like, don't push and pull, flow. Like, just be you, man. And that's something you've been really good at since I've known you, is that you're genuine, you're real, you're your authentic self around everyone. And that's why your light shines so bright and people are attracted to you. Nate, I want to dive into the word coach. Like, you're a basketball coach. You're a great coach of people. You're a great coach with people, helping them figure out their career. What do you believe makes a good coach?
Well, some of what you listed right there of being genuine. If you're not genuine, people pick up on it. It may not be right away. But at some point, it's going to come out that you're not being genuine. Yep. You're not being authentic. You have to be vulnerable.
Yep.
And vulnerability is tough in and of itself, but it also gets tough in a coaching realm of how do you be vulnerable but maintain the proper relationship that you need to keep. So with a high school basketball player,
right?
You know, there's a line where, like, you want to be vulnerable, you want to help, but you still got to maintain the coach-player relationship without blurring those lines in conversation or anything like that.
You want to be their coach, not their friend.
Right, absolutely. But I'll tell you one thing that I get asked a lot about being a head coach.
Yep.
Right now, I'm not saying that'll ever change.
Yep.
Right now, I love being an assistant associate head coach because it allows me opportunities that as a head coach you don't have. Yep. I can come alongside each individual player with their needs and impact them rather than the overall team as a whole. So I'm able to fill a gap that a head coach just can't fill. It's not possible for that to happen. And so I really enjoy that assistant role, being able to come alongside as a mentor and somebody who can really speak into them and give them real advice on how to handle. So if a head coach gets on a player, I can come right next to him and say, hey, here's why he's saying that. Yep. The head coach doesn't have time to do that. So the assistant has the opportunity to come in and say, hey, this is why. This is what you need to take from that. He was frustrated with the whole team. Yep. You maybe got the brunt of it, but here's why. And here we have a high expectation for you. Like,
you have done that really well for a decade, since 2013 at Judson University when we were assistant coaches. That would happen. Our head coach would get on a guy and, you know, maybe it sucked for that player and it hurt their feelings or whatever, but then you would come alongside and say, hey, this is why, and then you would reframe it to a positive for that player, and they got better. You got to have guys like Nate McNeely around in your organization. You got to have a coach like that who has that superpower to do that. Nate, I want to dive more into coaching yourself. You just said, as far as being a great coach, you got to be real, you got to be vulnerable, you got to be all these things. But if you don't lead yourself well, you can't lead anybody.
Right.
So how do you take care? How do you coach and lead yourself, mind, body, spirit? What are some of the habits that you have each and every week?
I'll tell you, that's hard. That's one of the most difficult things. Is it's easy to give advice and tell other people what to do, how to do things, your opinion on things. Yep. But then it's how do you get that back? Yeah. So first and foremost is surround yourself with good people. Surround yourself with Jordan Delks who can speak life into you, who can give you guidance, who's going to be real with you, and not just give you what you want to hear. So not surrounding yourself with people that are saying, good, yep. That's it. People don't need that. Like, yes, there's a time for encouragement, but the real, like, hey, Nate, take me through what you're thinking there, because it doesn't make sense. Yep. Why would you do that? Hey, did you think about how that would make your wife feel, or how that would make anybody else feel? Have you prioritized those things? So to have somebody and surround yourself with those people is the number one thing that you need to do, because oftentimes you can be blinded if you don't have people to speak into you and speak truthfully to you. You can get blinded by the stuff you're doing or get complacent in how you're operating. Yep.
In Dream Season X, we do a weekly check-in on our COI, Center of Influence. This is what Nate's talking about, your center of influence. Listeners, right now, I want you to evaluate your center of influence. This is the top 5 people that you spend the most time around. Okay? This isn't your top 5 friends. This is the top 5 people you spend the most time around, because chances are your life's going in the direction of those people in every area. Think about it. Relationally, financially, mindset, all the areas of life, you're around them and energy's transferred. And it's gonna rub off on you either way. So that is such a good word, Nate. Listeners, check yourself. Are you around the people you need to be around with right now? Check yourself. Nate, speaking of Dream Season X, I want to dive into our retreat that we had back the first week of August. We had an unbelievable kickoff retreat where we had speakers come in and talk about mindset, talk about our theme for the year, that our theme is Your Dreams Are For You. And listener, I want you to know that your dreams are for you. God literally placed them on your heart for you to go live out. Nate, tell me about your takeaways that you got from that day.
Oh man, so it's such a great day. The Holy Spirit was here. All the places we were a couple different places, but it was with it, and the Holy Spirit was here throughout the whole day. It's hard to sum up because it was such a tremendous day. And the speakers we had spoke so much that I'm still digesting. Tori was here.
Yep.
We're still on fire from what happened, but we're still also digesting. And how do we start to implement that things? That's one of the biggest things when you hear good things, you're like, okay, that was great. But now what do we do? And just to dive into each of those. So the 4 people that spoke, I have such a deep connection with. So it was that much. I've had tremendous conversations with all these people. We had Rich Benjamin, who, when I was at Judson, when he knew I wanted to coach and I didn't have anywhere to stay, him and his wife took me in and let me live with him. Barry Delks, your dad, has been a tremendous role model for me. Actually helped me when I moved to Indiana. He drove down. You and him drove down. He slept on the couch in order to get my stuff back. Tremendous influence. Him and his wife, your mom, Kim, were able to mentor Tori and I. We had reached out like, hey, I've seen your guys' marriage. I've experienced it. I would love for you guys to speak into Tori and I when we first got married and do those things. Shane has been tremendous with how to experience the Holy Spirit.
Man.
And then obviously our relationship has been great. But I did take one thing away, and I actually wrote them down because I didn't want to forget these things, because there was so much that came out of that day that these were the highlights that I pulled out that I'm trying to implement into my life right now. So first off, Rich Benjamin, we're called to receive God's love and reveal God's love. That's huge for me, because our goal is always to reveal God's love in what we do. But if we're not properly receiving it or knowing the best way to receive it in all things, then we can't reveal it to others.
No.
And so when we're talking connection and coaching, if I'm going to reveal God's love, I got to make sure that I'm on point with how to receive God's love in good and bad things. And so that was one thing I took away from Rich. Also, sorry, this is I'll do a subcategory since it's more than one, but
absolutely,
we're a reflection of our biggest idol. So you better make it God. That's huge, because there's things, money, even family, idols can be good things. But outside of the context of God, we abuse them, or we don't use them right, or we're not in tune or in partnership with the Spirit.
That's it.
Those things aren't what they could be.
Yes. So good.
And then Barry, we talked about connection and coaching, and the fruits of the Spirit are not compatible with a hurried life. So connection and coaching, it's not about, hey, I met you, great, see you later. It's how can I dive in deep and support you and love you and show you God's love. And if I'm not taking the time and slowing down, being present, being still, I can't communicate that, and I can't do that the way that I want. Shane, this one really hit me hard. God can't say well done if you aren't doing anything. So if you're hearing stuff and you're not doing anything, if you're hearing God and you're not taking action, the sin of omission, that's a scary thing.
It is.
And so I don't want to get to heaven and God be like, hey, I provided you all these opportunities and you didn't take on one of them. So that one hit me really hard. And then it was hard to pull one from what you talked about, Jordan, all day. But the one that sticks out that I'm going to use when I talk to people is you have to believe I am him before I am him, or I will never be him.
That's it.
So I mean, that's been huge. Like, you got to know that you can get to that level. You got to have your mindset set right of I am him, even when you're not.
If you believe you're a JV player, that's your ceiling. Think about that right now. Okay? If you believe, whatever you believe about yourself right now, that is your absolute ceiling.
Right.
So if you believe that you are who you are today, you're not going to grow.
Right.
You got to believe you are your future version of yourself to get to where you want to go. Before, you're the future version of yourself.
Right. The other piece that I got from you that is living in the present, and that's really showed itself since that day, the retreat day. I've really been focused on that because it's easy to get. I'm not so much of a past thinker. I'm more of a future thinker of, all right, what about this? What about this?
Yep.
And so when you start doing that, I experienced 2 times since that retreat where my impatience with my 4-year-old son came out because I was thinking about what's next.
Yep.
I was thinking about what's over here. Yeah. And so instead of being in the moment with him, and so before the retreat, I'm not sure I would have caught those things. So knowing to be in the moment has helped, and it's helped me apologize to him. I say, hey, Caleb, I'm really sorry.
Yep.
I was thinking about what I have to do. We're right here. This is what matters right here, right now. And so that would be another piece that I pulled.
That's the battle, right? I mean, the devil is trying to get you to regret, dwell on the past, or focus on the future, and that leads to anxiety and stress instead of finding the fruits of the Spirit in the present moment. That's it. That is the battle right there. Man, those are so good takeaways. Rewind that the last 3-4 minutes and take each bullet point out of that. Write that down. Nate, I kind of want to go to a story. You got man. There needs to be a book about your life of everything you've done, everything you've been through, how successful you've been, and ultimately you've pointed it all to Christ. I want to talk about adversity. So adversity is something that's promised. It's something that just comes. I mean, that's why here at Compete Training Academy in basketball, in a workout, it happens. Like, you're going to miss shots. You're going to turn the ball over. It's the same thing in life. Every day you wake up, every day doesn't go perfect, right? So just talk about a time that you experienced adversity, and now looking back, hindsight, being 2020, you're grateful for it.
Yeah, I think what first comes to mind is a string of adversities that I dealt with. So high school basketball. Yep. I'll even go back 8th grade basketball, small town, all about I was known, my identity was in basketball. Yep. A small town player. I was a great small town player. Don't know how I would have fared when I got into high school. I started to venture out more Peoria, which is much larger, and competed well. So it's not just the small town, but that's kind of what you go back to is it was a big deal. So I get into high school. I transfer my sophomore year. Got it. Transferred to another school. My parents consulted me that they really brought me into the equation, and I said, you know what? Let's do it. Let's go. It's better for you guys with the business. So I get there. So I'm in a new environment. They don't really know me. They know of me from rumors that go around or stories that come into town about basketball. So then again, my identity is still basketball player. Right. Well, start going through my junior year. We're having a great season. I'm having a great season. Yep. I get sick about halfway through. Yep. Find out that I have mono, can't play basketball anymore for, I don't remember exactly what I think it's like 2 months maybe. Yeah. 6 weeks I think is the time frame because of swelling of internal organs, things like that. So I can't play. So that took everything out of me. But what that right there taught me was how to be a good teammate. Yep. Which I'd like to think I was a good teammate, but I was a much better teammate after that because I saw, okay, I'm on the bench every day. I don't get the on the court experience. So that's where some of the coaching started too. Yep. So I go through that. Then I battled back. So come back towards the end of my junior year, was able to we had a good run, super sectional run.
Yep.
So that all ended well. Spent that summer conditioning like crazy. I was in the best shape of my life.
Yep.
Going into my senior year, I'm like, this is it. I also had some recruiting from some Division IIs.
Yep.
So I had already had conversations.
Yep.
I'm like, all right, like this is going to be my year to go.
Yep.
First day of school, I'm sitting in class and just get a pain in my side, appendicitis. I had to have my appendix out.
Oh.
So you're out. I mean, the movement in that, I was out for a good chunk of preseason leading into the season.
Yep.
So there I was again starting over. So I had to, and getting in shape during season is not an easy thing to do.
No.
So it was a little bit of a struggle my senior year, at least that first part. Well, some of the interest from the colleges started to back off because, hey, this guy's getting sick a lot.
Yep.
Which I don't blame him. That's something you have to, as a coach, you have to look at those things and you have to consider those things. And so start having a pretty good senior year. About 3/4 of the way through, I gotten sick again, but it was just, I was just strep throat.
Yep.
But when I went in, they thought they saw something on a heart scan. So this was around a time where there were a handful of people nationwide that had just been dropping on the court.
Yep.
So go through weeks of testing, but still a scary time. Even when they said, okay, we think you're good, you can play. In the back of my head is I'm going to be – if I start to breathe heavy, I'm like, you know what, maybe I need to back off.
Yeah.
Which hinders how you play.
Yeah.
So get through my senior year. End up going to a community college because by the time all that sickness, I had some Division III offers to come play. I felt like I was bigger than Division III.
Yep.
And so I wanted to go to a community college.
Yep.
So went to community college. First year, I'm going to try to make it a little quicker because I can keep going. But
no, you're good.
Again, worked really hard over that summer. We have our first weeks of preseason stuff. I'm beating everybody in sprints, which was not something that comes natural. I had to work hard for that.
Yep.
So I'm beating everybody in sprints. I'm running a 5-minute mile. I'm doing everything I need to do. Got mono again.
Yep.
So don't let anybody tell you can only get mono once because that's what I was told originally. But there's different strands where I got two.
Yep.
So again, back to the beginning.
Yep.
And so it was just a constant starting over. And, in the moment, that's big because my identity was basketball.
Yes.
And God continued to use basketball as an avenue to bring me to him. So I ended up, through that experience, the last game my sophomore year, or not the last game, but one game my sophomore year, Tony Tompkins from Judson University comes to a game to see somebody else on the other team. I hit 6 threes in the first half.
Yep.
He goes, talks to my parents at halftime, leaves. I don't make another 3 the rest of the game. But he saw those 6 threes that I made.
Yep.
And so recruited me there to a Christian university.
Yep.
Which, when he first, I said, there's no way. I'm all right. I don't need to go to chapel.
Yep.
But God kept working on me, and ended up at Judson University. So just the pathway that took, I looked at that as, man, I felt like I missed opportunities because I got sick and didn't get a chance to go bigger or go somewhere else when really God's telling me, I got you where you need to be. And so I was baptized my senior year at Judson.
Yep.
Met you. Yep. Ended up here. Looking back, seeing all that is just like God has a plan and we'll work it out no matter what we do. He's going to chase you. God's going to chase you. Me and my wife were talking about this earlier.
Yep.
Like God's going to chase you.
Yes.
Even if you're not looking for it.
Yeah. He leaves the 99 to get the 1.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
Gosh, Nate, that's such a powerful story. And if you're listening to this, I want to encourage you. No matter where you are at, God is chasing you. That is such a good word, Nate. God is chasing you. And even when you don't feel him close, his word says that his spirit is moving and never stops moving, even when we can't see it, even when we can't feel it. So it's easy for us to look back on your life then and say, man, you got sick because it directed you here. It directed you to Judson University. Shout out Judson University. Very, very special place.
Yes.
That's where we both have our masters from. Then that's how we met. Then that's how you married your dream girl.
Right.
It's like, dude, what in the world? It really is crazy to look back on that.
And so I think from that, what I learned is, like, even through disappointments, like, we want to praise God and thank God when things are good.
Yep.
And yes, we should do that. But it's even in the tough stuff.
Oh, boy.
It's even in the hard stuff where
we
need to praise and thank God because he's saving us from something. or he's trying to protect us from something or guiding us in a certain way.
Yep.
So when we want to get mad and frustrated and, God, why me? That's not it. Because there is a why me, but God knows why. And he's leading you where you need to be, maybe not where you want to be.
He's leading you where you need to be, not where you want to be. Guys, he is breaking you, shaping you, molding you like a jar of clay into a beautiful masterpiece. We have to embrace the journey. There is no skipping steps. Embrace where you're at. Once you embrace where you're at, you'll get the lesson of why you are where you are. And then when you learn that lesson, you graduate to the next lesson. And we say all the time here in the barn that great dreamers don't arrive at their dream. They're just transcended. Following God is the same way. That it's a spiral staircase. It's a journey, and it's a beautiful one. And we want that for you. Nate, thanks for joining us today. This has been such an amazing opportunity to fellowship. I can't wait to go back through and listening to this podcast again. I know that this impacted somebody. And if you're listening to this podcast and this impacted you, share it with somebody that needs to hear this. Share it with them right now. It takes 5 seconds. Because you doing that, you'll never know how the words that Nate said today that I believe are from God. God put this word on his heart to share with you all today. You'll never know how to impact them. And I can't wait to go back and pull each and every point out myself in my journal. But the biggest thing that I get from just this conversation today, talking with you, is how you have found joy in the journey, in the process, and peace in the process of, I know your journey on a deeper level, and you have truly embraced where you are and where God put you. You have been where your feet are. You have been in the present moment, and you have grown each and every step of the way. And it's so cool to see how God has used you in each and every area of your life, especially being a connector and being a coach.
And life's a team activity. And so I said it before about, hey, you got to surround yourself with people who are going to speak truth and life into you. But you also have to have that partnership with God and walk with Jesus. So make sure, if you need 6 instead of 5 people, make number 6. Make sure one of those is God, and that's the number one. That partnership, there's nothing greater. There's no greater relationship you can have than that one right there.
That's it right there, CTA family. Always remember, as always, competing is doing what God calls you to do, even when it's hard.